In this video, we're going to discuss indexing. So some payments are recurring from year to year. Think Social Security, welfare payments, even payments that are done month to month or bi-weekly, such as your wage could be indexed. All that indexing means is that we're going to increase the nominal quantity each period by the percentage increase in a specific price index. So usually in the United States, we will index something like Social Security checks with the consumer price index. This prevents the purchasing power of the Social Security checks from decreasing with inflation. Minimum wage, unfortunately, is indexed in many European countries, but not the United States. And the reason we don't do it in the United States is Congress is actually who sets the national minimum wage, and they set it in nominal terms because every time there's an election, they get to talk about whether or not they want to increase the minimum wage. And it's a big political talking point, and it usually ends up boosting at least discussion of incumbents. So people who are in office want to have minimum wage to be a talking point. Unfortunately, because of this, minimum wage has only increased about 15 times between 1970 and 2008, and real minimum wage has decreased by about a third in that same time period. Social Security and other forms of payment are indexed, so that means they do increase every year, and you'll get the same real Social Security check year to year, month to month. There's no action required by Congress for these payments to increase with inflation. Indexing is also included sometimes in labor contracts. So let's take a look at a labor contract here. Let's assume you start a new job at Amazon and you negotiate a starting salary of $12. And you also negotiate in your contract a 2% per year wage increase, nominal wage. Okay. So here we got the year that you're going to be working. We're going to calculate your real wage. We have the consumer price index each year that you'll be working for Amazon and your nominal wage. So the first year you're going to get paid $12. And in the first year, we're going to normalize everything to our first year payment. So in the first year, our real wage should just also be $12. But let's calculate what our real wage is in the second year. We've gone from earning $12 to $12.24 an hour. But what does that pay? What's the purchasing power of that in real wage? So we can use our equation over here. Real wage equals nominal wage times the change in our CPI. So the CPI in the first year divided by the CPI in the second year. So our nominal wage is $12.24. We're going to multiply that by the CPI in the first year, so times 100. And then we're going to divide that by the CPI in the second year. So divided by 105 gives us $11 and about 66 cents. Okay? So the purchasing power in the second year has fallen from $12 down to $11.66. We can also do the calculation for the third year, but we'll find that the purchasing power still isn't up to $12 in the third year. So although your nominal wage has increased, it has not risen at the same rate as inflation. So you can't buy as much stuff, even though you're making more money. Now let's say instead of negotiating a nominal wage increase, you negotiated a 2% increase in your wage, including in your real wage, right? So you want a 2% increase in your real wage, which means you're going to add 2% plus inflation. So now we're going to calculate what our nominal wage would be instead of our real wage, right? If we're going to be making $12.24 worth of purchasing power every hour, our nominal wage is going to need to be probably more than that since inflation is greater than zero. So let's calculate our nominal wage. We'll use this same formula here, but instead we're going to solve for nominal wage. So we're going to multiply by CPI year 2 and divide by CPI in year 1. So let's go over here. And our real wage starts at $12, and in year 2, our real wage is $12.24. So we can plug that in, 12.24. And then we need to multiply by CPI in year 2, so times 105, and divide by the CPI in year 1, divided by 100, gives us $12.85. Okay, so instead of making $12.24 in year 2 of our contract, we're going to be making $12.85. And we can do the same thing for year 3, and we'll see that we're making $13.73 per hour in year 3, which is much better than the $12.48 we were making if we would have not negotiated a real wage increase.